Razor takes a little bit of a foray over to that top rune spot, and he goes back. Here he goes for that rune. It's 2 minutes. Here's a Spirit Breaker. Might he let him get it? No, the Razor's going to pick it up, and he gets double damage. Alright, well, that was disappointing. He's just hitting some creeps here. And Bacon runs forward into Goat a little bit. Bacon does have the Earth Shock, so he can slow down the Wind Ranger just a little bit. But I wouldn't be too worried if I were her. She still has that Wind Run available. And Razor not really playing up on that Invoker at all. Just using this double damage rune to take advantage of the lane a little bit there. Bacon sitting around on that bottom lane, watched by his friend Bacon's Awful. I love that positive encouragement there. Well, that's redundant. We call that positive reinforcement. Bacon constantly being reminded that he's terrible. Here comes a snowball on to Goat. Goat uses the Wind Run to get away, and the Ice Shard's going to miss. Forces Goat to the other side. So the gank attack, not going to happen there. So no one dies yet on the map. And both of the teams know that their lives could be on the line here in this best of one set. And they seem to be pretty evenly matched at this point. Orsa doing pretty well in that bottom lane. And the Lifestealer not really getting as much of the same. Still getting pretty far behind on the last hits here. Now their Spirit Breaker has come to the bottom lane to help out the Wind Ranger. I just punched my microphone. And well, the Razor's just going to sit around in that mid lane and continue to take those last hits. Currently at level 5 for each of them. And I would say that the matchup is fairly even, with a slight edge going to the Invoker, but not by much. Tusk goes over to the mid lane. And, well, the Razor doesn't see Bacon's Awful yet. And there is a... Okay, here comes the snowball onto the Razor. That Sunstrike was absolutely horrendous. Bacon's Awful now getting the link onto him. And the Deafening Blast going to push him away for just a moment. And now the Living Trip doesn't want to go underneath the tower for that one. So, again, eluding the first blood there. As both of the teams now struggling to actually find a kill. Although they're doing pretty well at killing the creeps. I was hoping to have a co-caster at some point during these, and maybe I still will, but he seems to be not liking me so much lately. He started playing some Dota games instead of casting me, and it made me a little bit sad. So, unfortunately, he's not been joining us at all. Maybe he will tomorrow. Orsa picks up the phase boost from the side shop, doing pretty well on the farm at the moment. And there was an arcane rune picked up by the Razor. He's still fairly low on mana though. Razor pretty low on mana and hasn't gone for the bottle. He's going for that early mech. And he also has the Lone Tango in the inventory, so he can't really be as effective on that mid lane as he would hope. Here comes a snowball by the Tusk, not even going to bother with the Ice Shards, and now Razor trying to figure out what to do as the Spirit Breaker wastes the charge in. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Super Hot Fire taking a lot of damage, and here comes the Poison Touch. Poison Touch goes onto a creep, I think, and the first blood is going to be Super Hot Fire on that Lifestealer going down. Meanwhile, the Solar Dart also goes down, but that is the second blood. And now Mansa in trouble. Going to be watched by the invisible Razor, but Mansa just kind of staying under that tower. Well, that's the first blood on the map. And I guess that'll lessen the stakes for everybody else on the map. Here comes the snowball, and the wind run was already used. Bacon's awful trying to find the ice shards, misses on to go, and Bacon says, "You're terrible, bro," and he just goes back to the lane. Gonna get the charge on him by the Spirit Breaker, and Go's just gonna walk around here, see if he can help out with the gank. But this Orsa does have level 6, so it's going to be pretty hard to take him down. And the charge is going to get cancelled, so they're not even going to make the attempt here. Orsa finds a hard camp, and he gets some more creep kills. Already at about 900 gold, has enough money for that Morbid Mask, which is pretty essential on an Orsa. And he goes over to the side shop, and he's going to buy that up. It's always fun to try to say actions before the players do them, because then you can always be wrong, excuse me. And Bacon's going to get the healing salve from his friend. Lots of creeps going around here on the top lane. And here comes a snowball onto the Spirit Breaker, and there's an Ice Shards and the Sunstrike keeping him as well. There is the Orsa with the kill onto Tusk. Tusk is on his team. Spirit Breaker. Meanwhile, Dazzle takes down the Disruptor on the top lane. So Men and Mankinis with a pretty good start here, getting the kills across the map. And meanwhile, the Link goes on to the Invoker, zoning him out for a second. Takes a little bit of damage, but this Invoker, he still has 100 damage. Like, this Exhort Invoker doesn't care about the Razor taking damage at all. Goat now joined by Disruptor on the bottom lane. That's probably not the best thing, as that Tusk can go right in on that Disruptor. Although the kinetic field could be a good thing here. Going for that max glimpse build. Orsa wanted to cancel that clarity but didn't. Wasn't able to. And Bacon's Awful finds the Arcane Rune at the bottom rune spot. Invoker, he's bought up his Hand of Midas and has it going to be delivered on the courier after a very long time. Lieutenant Squawkins reporting for duty. And now Bacon, he's got that Vladimir's Offering picked up. Interesting that he chooses to go for that. Sometimes I like to use that Morbid Mask into straight Blink Dagger build. You can get that mobility a little bit faster. But they choose not to. And Slardar thinking about going to deward that Observer ward that was just placed down. And the Dazzle's going to pick it up. Yep, the Dazzle gets the gold for it. I think Slardar might have chosen to steal it, but actually wasn't good enough to actually get the last hit. And actually, I used actually twice, many times in that sentence. It's a lot of fun. Razor has that mechanism, but he still has no mana. He has no source of mana right now. No bottle. Yule Scepter Razor is fun, but he doesn't have that either. So this Razor's just sitting there with a mechanism and no mana on the mid lane. Blink Dagger is going to get purchased on the Slardar. He's gone brown boots into the Blink Dagger, and he's not going to pick up that Blink Dagger from the side shop. Here comes the amplified damage onto the Life Stealer. And he's just going to walk around with clouds over his head for a while. That's not very nice. Yep, Razor just doesn't like mana. That is the moral of the story here. Ursa and the Invoker leading on the last hits right now. By a pretty large margin. And now Razor trying to steal the damage from the Tusk, taking a lot of damage right now. There's a charge onto the Invoker. Invoker has taken a lot of damage, and now the Sunstrike absolutely misses. He's pretty good at missing those. And now Bacon's Awful trying to do the damage here. Here's a nice Ice Charge blocking in the Razor, and the Razor will go down to Ursa, who has TP'd in for that. Now he just decides to go hit some creeps. Meanwhile, on the top lane, the Slardar goes down, so the rotations over to the mid lane cost the Slardar his life. So, unfortunately, the couple of rotations from Men and Mankinis result in the top lane going down. And now here comes a smoke. The Tusk and the Ursa going for the Wind Ranger. The Wind Ranger wisely moves back. And moves forward once again. And moves back. Cries out in fear. Looks for the Ursa in the Roshan, but that's not where he is. And he's just going to go over to the lane. Maybe she knew that something is up, thanks to him appearing out of nowhere, it would seem. And Tusk is just going to go over to the creeps and try to get some kills. Getting a little bit impatient there. Razor comes in, has full mana now, could go in on the Ursa. Ursa with a nice shackle shot by the Wind Ranger, getting the damage stolen from him. And there's the Minor Summer. There's a charge coming in from the Spear Breaker, but it probably will take a while. Bacon takes a lot of damage. And okay, now he pops the ultimate, trying to get out of here. And he's not going to get sniped by the Wind Ranger. Oh, charge just out of time there. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Disruptor goes down to the Dazzle. And Leicester is soon taken out of that creep. Lots of damage done by the Dazzle. BlitzKriegZ taking a lot of damage. And there's a blink. Sunstrike going to miss. Oh, Leicester, you're running the wrong way. You're going underneath the tower. That's not your tower. He's dead. Couple kills on that top lane. Dazzle pretty strong right now. Razor getting hit by the ice shards, but the Wind Ranger is here to protect him. The Invoker not very impressive with those Sunstrikes at all, though. He might want to try to go to practice or something like that, because he's pretty terrible right now. Although he did do pretty well at last hitting, which doesn't say much for an Invoker. Ursa getting pretty close to the Blink Dagger. He's at about 1,600 gold right now after this camp. And I guess it's time to look at the net worth chart. No surprise to see the Invoker and the Ursa at the top. And this Razor still has no source of mana, so he's going to quickly run out, especially since his team only has one set of arcane boots.
Gold is a great conductor.
Hey, if you asked me to cast your JDL games, I would, but you don't, so I think that's your fault. As far as I know, you don't even play anymore. Tusk with the Invis rune, walking around, could find the Razor. He's going to get scoured out underneath the rune, and the Dazzle's here, lying in wait. Razor goes over. Here comes the minus armor, and Mansa's now going to get the damage stolen from him. Sunstrike gonna miss, and there's the ice shards keeping the Razor in there. The kill easily comes for Bacon as he gets a kill under the Razor. That gives the Ursa enough gold for the Blink Dagger, and now they range over to the bottom lane, where the Wind Ranger and the Spirit Breaker are waiting.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Ursa has the Blink Dagger now.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
And he's ready to go in here. They fortify the bottom tower, and the Disruptor is ready with the level 8. Here comes the kinetic field, double crushed by the Slardar, going to get smacked aside, and the Blink kill goes on to Disruptor, absolutely wrecking him with the Ursa. Sunstrike right away onto the Razor. Now Razor about to die. Gonna get crushed by the Slardar. Goes down to the end to the Invoker, and the Ursa using his prowess onto the tower. And now they're chasing down the Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker about to go down. Gonna get slammed by the Ursa. That's 3 down in the bottom lane. And Men and Mankinis, showing that the Mankinis still doing pretty well fashion-wise. So 3 go down in that bot lane. And that's a big gold lead going down for Men and Mankinis.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Man, they chatted so much. I think Men and Mankinis is from Perth. So Ursa's going to take the Aegis. And He does need to work on that mana. Meanwhile, Bacon's awful going down in the top lane, feeding the kills to the Lexio Luca Pro, who has gotten that Armlet of Mordigame. Won't go quite down to that Sunstriku. So the Tusk feeds a kill back to BlitzKriegZ. Oh, okay. Well, the Invoker takes a kill on the Disruptor. Got a little bit distracted there. Don't worry, you'll be seeing more of that tonight. Smuggler takes the creeps on an adventure into the jungle. Into the jungle. Someone come up with a song for that, please. Bacon takes out the tower in the top lane, and he's still got the Aegis. So this I like. He's got the Aegis time, and he also has that Blink Dagger, so he can just go ham on the other team. And now Super Hot Fire could be in trouble. Ursa gonna blink away. And the Sunstriku hits onto the Lifestealer, who uses that rage to get away from the Invoker. And Tusk celebrates with a punch. Alright, here comes the push by the men and Mankinis onto the mid lane, and they get scared of the tower and immediately run away. They have a Slardar back in the base, and Ursa doing the Ancients with an Aegis. Little known fact, the Aegis was a pretty good tool for killing the Ancients. Just kidding. And the Invoker picks up a Blink Dagger. Could go in on this Wind Ranger. Puts her up in the air. Sunstriku Meatball and the crush in by the Slardar. Going to be doing the damage to Goat. Goat uses the Shackle Shot. Doesn't matter. The Invoker takes him right down. I always thought the Wind Ranger was pretty manly. And now the Invoker going to find a Regeneration Rune. And they'll go right over to the mid lane. Going to get scouted up by that Observer, forcing the Dire back. The Spirit Breaker has the Lifestealer Bomb in it, and here he comes. Choo-choo! Thomas the Tank Engine. Right onto the Slardar. And the Slardar uses the Crush, going to hit on one, but Smuggler stuck in place. Eventually will go down to the Lifestealer, but on the backside, the Wind Ranger and the Razor goes down. So does the Disruptor. And the Lifestealer getting pursued out. On the other side, Spirit Breaker trying to stay alive. Eventually will go down to the Dazzle. And Ursa with the swipes onto Lifestealer, easily takes him out. It's a double kill for him, and 4 down in that last fight. 16 kills to 4 for Men and Mankini. He's looking pretty good in this match. Give me a fight recap. 4 for 1. Here comes the push by the Men and Mankinis onto the tier 2 tower. Tusk rolling the snowball through the creeps. Show us the net worth graph. Well, you do have net worth over here. But 10,000 in favor of Men and Mankinis. And XP, about the same. That tends to happen when you're 16 to 4 for kills. And now the Men and Mankinis, they go right over the bottom. And here comes a TP by the Lifestealer. Lifestealer trying to get away. He's not going to be able to. There's a Rage. He goes into a creep. Comes out. Peekaboo. Lifestealer goes down. Monster kill streak for the Ursa. Looking pretty good. And, you know, things looking pretty good for the Men and Mankinis. Here comes a snowball by the Spirit Breaker. Just kidding. That's a Tusk in the snowball. And the Disruptor goes right down. Too far up. GG's called. That's going to be it for BlitzKriegZ. They call it. And the Men and Mankinis showing that fashion sense still can win. Alright. Well, the game isn't ending yet, so I guess they're going to try to keep going. Ursa Bear roaring and hitting things. Still getting hit in the back by a Wind Ranger. I guess the game's not ending yet. Show us their MMR. We'll try. Bacon. Let's look at his. 3,400. Damn. No MMR there. I'm not like OD Pixel Witter. 5.2k MMR Invoker that still didn't really do very well. Well, didn't do the best. We're used to seeing better Sunstrikers. But the rest of his team is like 3Ks. And then BlitzKriegZ were 3.1. That doesn't tell us anything. 3.5. 3.2. Yeah, these guys are pretty bad. And this is Southeast Asia MMR, so even worse. MMR inflation is a thing.